final match between Georgia Tech and UC Davis. It's all gonna come down to this final solve. And just like that, UC Davis takes the whole thing. Berkeley shows San Diego they're not here to mess around. And Andrew takes that solve from Hamza. What a match.
Welcome everybody to the first matchup of the Collegiate Cubing Championships. We have a thrilling matchup for you guys tonight between the number 13 seed University of Maryland and the number 20 seed Florida State University. My name is Martin and I'll be your host for tonight. And just to remind you, we'll be doing a best of 3 sets with each set as a head-to-head matchup of a best of 7 solves. First team to win 2 sets will win this match and move on to the next round of the tournament. Now, folks, don't let the numbers deceive you. The first 2 sets of this matchup will be very, very close. FSU will have the opportunity to step up to the occasion to take the first 2 sets and move on to the next round of the competition. Before we jump up into the matchups, let's take a second to meet our first competitors. On the left side of your screen, competing for the University of Maryland, we have Jed. He's currently a freshman solving on the Tornado V3 with an average of 11.38 seconds. On the right side of your screen, competing for Florida State University, we have Colin, who's also a freshman solving on the WRM 2021, averaging around 12.92 seconds. Jed has an impressive PB single of 6.44 seconds and a PB average of 9.61, while Colin has a PB single of 7.09 and a PV average of 10.33. Both competitors are in search of their first medals. As you can see, guys, their averages are just around a second apart, so this will be a very, very close match. It is totally possible for Colin to step up and take a few solves from Jed and possibly take the first set for Florida State. We're ready to begin whenever. We had a coin toss before we started the stream, and FSU won the coin toss, so they will be starting off solving. Remember, folks, we have a promo code with thecubicle.com. Use code CCChamps, that's 3 C's, for 10% off on game days like today and 5% off on all other days. We're super, super excited to do this first matchup of the Collegiate Cubing competition. Looks like Colin is just about to begin his inspection.
Ooh.
Looks like he's going to be doing yellow cross. Finishing up F2L now. OLL. Some PLL for an 11.99. Excellent solve from Colin. It's a little bit faster than his normal average. That's good to put some pressure on Jed right off at the start and hopefully give FSU the opportunity to take this first set, which would set them up excellently to possibly upsetting the University of Maryland. But let's see what Jed can respond with. He's starting on white cross. Excellent turning. Extremely fluid F2L. OLL. DLL. I don't think Jed started the timer. So it may be a DNF.
The timer malfunctioned. It just had a low value, like 0.005.
We'll see what our judge decides.
So,
Colin off to a great start there. Hitting an 11.99. Oh, and it looks like we're going to be doing a new scramble for both competitors as a timer malfunction. So we'll be redoing that first solve. But Colin coming out of the gate with an 11.99, around a second faster than his normal average. It's an excellent, excellent start for Colin. Let's hope he can keep it up the rest of the match. And definitely put some pressure on Jed here. And maybe put some pressure on Samir, who's going to be our next competitor for UMD, to step up and try to take the second set for the University of Maryland. Looks like Maryland's timer is working again, so hopefully we'll get underway here shortly.
Okay.
The Discord audio from your computer. I don't know if you want to check that.
Alrighty, looks like we will not be having a live timer for Maryland for now as their timer's malfunctioning, but we'll be able to continue on with the competition. We'll be starting over our first solve again. Sorry about that, folks, but we can finally get the very first matchup of the Collegiate Cubing Championships underway, starting off with Colin on the right side of your screen, solving for FSU. On solving on green cross now. Yellow. And he gets an 11.12, an impressive start for Colin. That's much, much faster than his normal average. That's an excellent solve. That's exactly what we wanted to see for FSU to have the chance to upset University of Maryland in this matchup. Let's see what Jed can respond with. He's going to have to lock in, hopefully solve around his normal average of around 11.38. Let's see what Jed can do. Going on to OLL now, PLL. Let's see, and he gets a 10.85. Excellent response from Jed, also faster than his normal average, and he's going to take the first solve from Colin. We can see how close their two times were to show that Colin he has a chance. He can step up to the opportunity, solve a little bit faster than he normally does, put serious pressure on Jed to continue getting solves around that 10-second range. So Jed is going to be starting off the second solve of this first set of the very first match of the Collegiate Cubing Championship. Let's see what he can do. I think we'll get a timer out for Jed as well. It's going to be starting on white cross. PLL now, the U perm. He's going to get an 11.68. So we saw the 11.12 from Colin in the first solve. He definitely has the potential to solve faster than Jed in this solve and take a point for Florida State. But let's see what Colin can respond with. Colin now for Florida State University. He's going to be solving on blue cross. Looks like we had some lockups there. Going on to PLL now for a 12.27, but it looks like that's going to be a +2. 14.27 for Colin on FSU. He was not able to respond to Jed's 11.68, so Jed is going to take a second solve from Colin on this set. There's serious pressure on Colin now. He's going to be starting this third solve to step up, take a couple of solves from Jed, and hopefully give FSU a chance to upset the University of Maryland in this very first match of the Collegiate Cubing Championship. Let's see what Colin can do. He's going to need something probably faster than an 11 if he wants to put serious pressure on Jed to hopefully take this third solve of the set. Colin now starting on red cross. Some trouble finding a couple of those pairs. Going on to OLL and PLL now. Oh, looks like he messed up that G perm for a 13.40. An unfortunate solve for Colin. Jed will likely be able to respond to this and take the third solve, but who knows? Let's see what Jed can do for the University of Maryland. Looks like he's going to be solving on white cross. You see that excellent and extremely smooth turning from Jed. So he had some trouble finding that one pair there. Going on to his last pair of F2L and onto OLL now. Finishing off with an A perm. He gets a 13.21. Wow. And so he takes that solve by just 0.2 of a second from Colin. Now Jed just needs one more solve to win this set for the University of Maryland. Colin still has a chance, but we've seen some below average solving from Colin. Jed has been hitting around his average so far. Colin is going to need to step up and lock in for this next solve if he wants to have a chance to win the very first set for FSU, and that will put them in an excellent position, to hopefully upset the University of Maryland in this very first match. Jed is going to be starting the fourth solve, and remember, if he wins this solve, he wins the whole set for the University of Maryland. So let's see what Jed can do on this fourth solve. Going to be solving on white cross, it looks like. A couple of free pairs there. OLL now to PLL. Looks like we got a 15.56. Wow. So Jed stumbled a little bit on that fourth solve, leaving the door wide open for Colin to come in and hopefully take a solve from Jed for Florida State. Now, every single one of Colin's solves have been less than 15.5 seconds. It was very possible for Colin to step up and hopefully take a solve and put FSU on the board, but let's see what Colin can do. Looks like he's going to be solving on yellow cross here. Going into PLL now. Oh, and he gets a 14.45 even with the timer mishap at the end. So he's going to take that solve for Florida State by about a second. So Jed is still just 1 point away from winning this set for Maryland, but Colin is coming back. Jed left the door wide open with a 15.56 in this solve, and Colin was able to step up and get a 14.45, still slower than his normal average, but enough to take a solve away from Jed, putting FSU on the board. Colin is going to need to keep up this fantastic solving if FSU wants to have a chance to upset the University of Maryland. Let's see what Colin can do. He's going to be solving on green cross now. Looks like we had some lockups there and off till. Went into PLL now. The 12.55. One of his faster solves this set. Jed is going to have to respond. He's going to have to lock in. He can't let a 15.5 second solve happen again if he wants to have a chance to take this solve and end this first set and win a point for the University of Maryland. So let's see what Jed can respond with here. He's going to be solving on yellow cross here. Going on to PLL now. He gets a 12.09. So that's going to be the fourth solve he takes from Colin by just 0.5 seconds. So Maryland is going to win that first set, giving them a point over FSU. Let's take a look at this set. So we see Jed starting off hot with a 10.85 and 11.68. Colin starts off hot with an 11.12, but then it cools down pretty quick with a 14.27. So Jed is able to take the first two solves from Colin. And Colin really needed to start taking solves early on as he's coming into this match with a bit of a disadvantage with that 12.92 average, just a little bit slower than Jed's 11.38. Jed takes a third solve from Colin by just 0.2 of a second with a 13.21 over Colin's 13.40. But then Jed blunders in the fourth solve, which would have ended the set there with a 15.56. He leaves the door wide open for Colin to step up with a 14.45. Now, Colin had that little timer mishap at the end of his solve of that 14.45, but he was still able to secure a solve for Florida State. Colin responds to the fourth solve with a 12.55, a good solve for Colin, but Jed is able to sneak in there and take it by just 0.5 seconds. In that matchup, Jed had a mean of around 12.68, which is a little bit slower than his normal 11.38 average, and Colin had a mean of 13.16, just a tad slower than his normal 12.92 second average. Fantastic solving from both competitors. I believe our next matchup is going to be even closer. So let's take a second to meet the next two competitors for the next matchup. On the left side of your screen, competing for the University of Maryland, we have Samir, who's currently a sophomore, solving on the Tengyun V3 and averaging around 11.10 seconds. On the right side of your screen, competing for Florida State University, we have Owen, who's currently a freshman, solving on the RS3 MV5 and averaging around 11.72 seconds. Samir has a 6.65 second PB single and a 9.00 PB average, while Owen has a 6.12 second PB single and a 9.38 PB average. Samir has one medal while Owen has 4 medals. These competitors are extremely close in time. Samir has an average just 0.6 seconds faster than Owen. So this matchup is going to be a toss-up. FSU needs to step in. The third matchup is not going to be as close, so FSU is going to need to take the solve if they want to have a chance to win this match. There's still a possibility for a huge upset here. But let's see what Samir and Owen can do for us. Now, Owen on the right side of your screen here, he is top 10 in the state of Florida for pure makes, while Samir on the left side of your screen here, he is his school's intramural volleyball champion. Impressive achievements from both competitors. I believe Samir on the left side of your screen for the University of Maryland will be starting off this set. Let's see what Samir can do for us. Looks like he's going to be solving on yellow cross. Going on to PLL now. Couple lockups there. But it's enough to get a 10.355. An excellent start for Samir. A little bit faster than his normal average here. So Owen's going to have to lock in and respond well to this. Let's see what Owen can do. He's going to be solving on yellow cross. There's a couple of pairs in. Onto U-perm with a 10.68. Wow. So Owen responds to Samir's 10.35 with a very impressive 10.68. So Samir is going to take that solve by just 0.3 of a second. We can see just how close in times these two competitors are. It is going to be a very, very interesting match. They were just 0.3 seconds away from each other on that first solve, and they both started off very, very hot. Owen is going to be starting off this second solve here. He's going to need to really lock in and step up and set the bar high. Give Samir something very difficult to respond to. But let's see what Owen can do for us on this second solve here. So he's going to be solving on yellow cross. Quick turning. On to OLL, now PLL. 10.94. We had some lockups there at the end, but still an impressive solve for Owen, about a second faster than his normal 11.72 average. Owen needed to step up and set the bar high for Samir, and I think he did it. He does that with the 10.94. Samir is going to have to respond with something better if he wants to assert Maryland here as a clear contender to win this matchup. But let's see what Samir can do for us. He's going to be solving on yellow cross here. Going into a J-perm now. That was a real quick solve. Let's see what he got. A 10.23. Wow, so Samir is again going to take that solve by just 0.7 seconds. He took the first solve from Owen by 0.3 seconds, and in the second solve, he takes it by just 0.7 of a second. Impressive solving from both competitors, but Owen needs to solve just a little bit faster to lock in FSU to win this set. Samir is going to be starting off on the third solve of this set. Again, both competitors have been solving a little bit faster than their normal averages, but they are very, very close in times. Let's see what Samir can do for us. He's going to be starting on yellow cross here. So I had some trouble finding that one pair. Going into PLL now. A-perm. Let's see what we got. I think we got a 9.54 there. So the first sub 10 of this matchup. He's setting the bar high for Owen. He's giving Owen something difficult to respond to. Now Owen can absolutely respond to this and take the third solve from Samir, and he's gonna have to if he wants FSU to have a chance to win this set and put some pressure on the next two competitors. But let's see what Owen can do for us. He's been solving really, really closely to Samir. Just a little bit faster, a little less lockups, and he could absolutely take this third solve. Owen's going to be starting off hot on a yellow cross. Got some mess ups there. Going into PLL. The 10.93. Still an impressive solve from Owen, but not enough to take the third solve from Samir. Now, Owen's been hitting around that high 10 range, and Samir around that low 10, high 9 range. They're both very, very close in times. Their normal averages are just 0.6 seconds apart, and so they've been solving really, really closely to each other, but Owen's just a little bit behind Samir. Now, FSU really needed to win the first two sets if they wanted to have a chance to win this whole competition and maybe upset the University of Maryland. But the first set, FSU lost it to Maryland, and now Samir is just one solve away from taking the second set from FSU as well. Hopefully Owen can step up and give us some good solving, something that Samir won't be able to respond to. So Owen's going to be solving for us on the fourth solve here. He's going into PLL here with a 9.02. An impressive solve. Owen sets the standard high. Samir is going to have to respond to a 9.02 in a very, very impressive solve from Owen. Now, if Samir wins this solve, he wins the whole set for the University of Maryland. Looks like we're having some troubles over here with some misscrambles. And just as a reminder, Samir averages around the 11.10 second range. He's been averaging this the past three solves around a low 10. But we have a similar story with Owen. He normally averages around a high 11, and now he's averaging around a high 10, but he just solved a 9.02 second solve. Samir is going to have to respond to a 9.02, so let's see what he can do. Solving on white cross. Oh, we got some major lockups here going on to PLL finally, though. Looks like Samir got a 10.006. So another impressive solve from Samir, but Owen is going to be taking the fourth solve from Samir. He finally puts FSU on the board for this solve. Samir is going to be starting off on the fifth solve of this matchup. Remember, he's still one solve away from taking this set for the University of Maryland, which will be their second set of this matchup. Owen has been averaging around that high 10-second range. He can absolutely step up and take a second solve from Samir. Let's see what Samir's going to do. He's going to be starting off this fifth solve of this matchup. Let's see what Samir can do. Going to be solving on yellow cross this time. Going to OLL now. DLL. Oh. I don't think that was a +2. We got a 10.94 from Samir. An impressive solve from Samir, but Owen can absolutely respond to this and get a second solve for FSU. Looked like we had a couple of lockups and maybe a mess up in F2L from Samir here, so Owen is going to have to step up. Samir left the door a little bit open, enough for Owen to stick his foot in there and hopefully take a second solve for FSU to start putting pressure on Samir. Let's see what Owen can do. He's going to be solving on yellow cross as well. On to PLL now. Has some major lockups for a 13.41. So Samir had his slowest solve with a 10.94, and Owen responded with a 13.41, which isn't good enough to take the fifth solve of that matchup. So Samir is going to take his fourth solve of that match and win that set for the University of Maryland. Let's take a second to look at that match. So both competitors started off hot. Now remember, Samir normally averages around an 11.1, while Owen normally averages around an 11.72. So they both come in with a 10.35 from Samir and a 10.68 from Owen. So both significantly faster than their normal averages and impressive solves. Then Samir hits Owen with a 10.23 and Owen responds with a 10.94. So they're both solving much faster than their normal averages. Very, very close in times, but Samir is just able to get the edge on Owen here. Then Samir hits Owen with a 9.94. Owen responds with a 10.93. So remarkable consistency from Owen, but not enough to get the edge on Samir and take a couple of solves from him. But then Owen hits Samir with a 9.02, a very, very impressive solve, and Samir responds with a 10.06. So Owen is able to take that fourth solve from Samir and stop him from taking the set without putting FSU on the board. Then Samir responds with a 10.94. It looked like on that solve, he maybe had a couple of lockups, maybe a mess up in F2L, and Owen responded with a 13.41. He had some lockups in PLO, maybe a mess up in F2L as well. So Samir takes that fifth solve and takes that set for the University of Maryland. Now this means that the University of Maryland has won this matchup and we'll move on to the next round of the competition, but we will play out the third set as well for the all-powerful bragging rights. Now let's take a second to look at our next competitors here. On the left side of your screen, competing for the University of Maryland, we have Sanzhar on the WRMV9. He's currently a sophomore and averaging 8.81 seconds. On the right side of your screen, we have Will. He's currently a sophomore on the RS3MV5, and he averages around 11.3 seconds. We have an impressive 3.97 second PB single from Sanzhar and a 6.05 second PB average. While Will has also an impressive 4.99 second PB single with a 7.99 PB average. Sanzhar has 10 medals while Will has 1. Now, I will note here that Will, over the summer, he told me he had dinner with Max Park. Did Max Park impart any cubing wisdom on Will? Maybe we'll see some of that here. Let's see what these competitors can offer for us. I believe Will, on the right side of your screen, solving for FSU, will be starting off. Now, folks, remember to use our promo code CCChamps at thecubicle.com for 10% off today. That's 3 C's. It's normally 5%, but on every game day like today, it will be boosted to 10%. Will is going to be starting off on the right side of your screen for FSU. Let's see what he can do. We'll be solving on Red Cross here. F2L, moving on to OLL. OLL with a 9.82. An impressive solve from Will. Now let's see how Sanzhar can respond. Now, Sanzhar is coming into this competition with about a 3-second edge over Will. That's quite a lot of time, but Will starts off with a 9.82, an impressive solve, and possibly enough to take the first solve from Sanzhar, which would set up FSU well to win this first matchup. This third set. Let's see what Sanzhar can do. We'll be solving on White Cross here. PLL now. An 8.54. So Will started off with a very good solve of around a 9.82, and Sanzhar responds with an 8.54 right around his average. So he's going to be able to take that first solve from Will. Just as a reminder, if you haven't checked out our Instagram, we have another matchup tonight starting at 8 p.m. Central Time between the number 15 seed University of California at Santa Barbara and the number 18 seed University of Nevada, Reno on this YouTube channel as well. So make sure to check us out at 8 p.m. Central Time. Sanzhar is going to be starting off this second solve of this final matchup between the University of Maryland and Florida State University. He gets an 8.40. An impressive solve from Sanzhar. Let's see how Will is able to respond to this. Will is going to be solving on Orange Cross this time. Moving on to OLL now. Dot case. PLO. Oh, and it looks like that's going to be a DNF.
Oh.
Looks like we had a lockup there on PLL, and Will wasn't able to recover and gets a DNF. So that solve is going to be going to Sanzhar. It looked like if Will didn't DNF, that would have been around a low 10. So a really, really fantastic solve from Will. Sanzhar is solving around that mid 8-second average, which is what he normally averages. Will is going to be starting off on this third solve here. Let's see what he can do for FSU. Hopefully, maybe take one set for FSU. Will solving on red cross now. Quick F2L. Going into PL now. Gonna lock up there for an 8.32. An excellent, excellent solve from Will. That's faster than either of Sanzhar's solves. So Sanzhar is going to have to lock in and respond to an 8.32. A fantastic solve from Will. So let's see how Sanzhar responds. Going to be starting on white cross here. We got a free pair there. Wow, incredibly quick F2L, moving into PLO now already. Responds with a 9.25. Wow. So Will steps up to the opportunity and takes a solve from Sanzhar, putting FSU on the board for this final set. Impressive solving from Will. 8.32. It's about 3 seconds faster than his normal average. He's able to shake off that DNF from the last solve and hit Sanzhar with an 8.32. Impressive solve. So far, the fastest solve of this whole set. Sanzhar is going to be starting off for the University of Maryland on this fourth solve. Quick F2L. Into OLL. PLL. Gets a 7.89. Impressive solve from Sanzhar. Will is going to have to respond to that. A 7.89. Let's see what Will can do for FSU. He stepped up in the last solve and got an 8.32 and was able to take that solve from Sanzhar and put FSU on the board. Let's see how Will respond to Sanzhar's 7.89. Moving to PLL now. He gets an 8.94. Another fantastic solve from Will. Much faster than his normal average, but not enough to beat Sanzhar's 7.89. Now, Will normally averages around 11.330, while Sanzhar averages around that 8.81. So, you can see that Sanzhar has that 3-second edge over Will, but Will has been solving very impressively this set. He had that one DNF, but he was able to shake it off quite quickly and respond with an 8.32, and he just got an 8.94. Excellent, excellent solving from Will. Sanzhar is still hitting around that mid 8-second average, what he normally averages, and Will is going to be starting off here on the fifth solve of this matchup. Like he's going to be solving white cross here. Very fluid F2L, moving into OLL, now PLL. It's a 7.78.
It's not over.
Wow, impressive solving from Will here. He normally averages around that 11.3, but he's been getting 8s and 9s and now a 7. Sanzhar is going to have to respond to a 7.78. Looks like he's starting off. Let's see what he can do. On white cross. Moving into PLL. Oh, and he messes up a little bit, and he gets a +2 for an 11.15. So Will is going to take a second solve from Sanzhar. Incredible. Will hits Sanzhar with a 7.78. Sanzhar messes up a little bit and then gets a +2. So Will is able to securely take a solve from Sanzhar by about 4 seconds. Now remember, Sanzhar came into this matchup with about a 3-second edge, but this is the best we've seen FSU perform this entire matchup. Will has seriously stepped up to the opportunity and taken so many solves from Sanzhar this matchup already. Now Sanzhar is going to be starting off the 6th solve of this match. Let's see what he gets. He gets a 7.05. Now Sanzhar is just one solve away from finishing this match and taking the last solve for Maryland. But Will has seriously stepped up and locked in and produced so many fantastic solves, taking 2 solves from Sanzhar now. Let's see what Will can respond to, how he can respond to 7.05. Now, he's sitting on that 4.99 PB single, so we know Will can solve faster than a 7.05, but let's see what he can do. Oh, it looks like he had a major lockup there, and he gets an 8.59. Not enough to take that final solve from Sanzhar, but still fantastic solving from both competitors. Absolutely impressive. Let's take a look at this final set. So Sanzhar starts off with about an 8.54 and an 8.4, right around what we expected to see from Sanzhar, as he normally averages around that 8.81. But then Will starts off with a 9.82. But then he gets a DNF the next solve, and he's able to shake that off really well to start off the third solve with an 8.32, which Sanzhar is not able to respond to. Then Sanzhar hits Will with a 7.89, and Will is not able to respond to that. He gets an 8.94, so Sanzhar takes that fifth solve from Will. But when the set is on the line, Will steps up and gets a 7.78, and Sanzhar messes up a little bit, gets a +2, and gets an 11.15, so Will is able to take a second solve for FSU. But then Sanzhar responds to that with a 7.05. Very impressive solve from Sanzhar, and Will responds with an 8.59. An impressive solve from Will, but not enough to take it from Sanzhar. Sanzhar averaged around an 8.71. I'm not sure if Will actually averaged around a 7.08. It looks like he averaged more around that high 8, but fantastic solving from both competitors. So the University of Maryland is going to take this match and move on to the next round. Now, folks, remember we have a matchup later tonight at 8 p.m. Central on this YouTube channel between the number 15 seed, the University of California, Santa Barbara, and the number 18 seed, University of Nevada, Reno. That will be an excellent matchup as well. So make sure to catch it live at 8 p.m. Central on this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching the very first matchup of the Collegiate Cubing Championship. We are so excited to host this for you, and I hope to see you again tonight at 8. Thank you so much for watching.